done, we'll move on to the second group. I'm going to announce them and the order. The next 5 are Steve Shapiro, Paul McElhenney, Nicole Weekly, Michael Riley, and Vince McAvoy. So we'll start with Steve Shapiro. Steve?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank
My
you.
name is Steve Shapiro from Columbia, Maryland. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. In the late 16th century, after the colonists declared their independence, members of the Continental Congress were not looking to make a career out of federal government. They took time away from farming to serve the people who elected them as representatives, and then the mantle was passed along to other candidates. Today, people earn university degrees to become career politicians and stay in their positions for however long they can survive their re-election campaigns. If only it was just for the desire to serve their constituents. But today we see fighting across the aisles, leaders in both houses that will not allow debate on important issues, bills bundled strategically so as to bargain for policies that could not otherwise make it through on their own merits, and fights over procedure to then inflict action on regular Americans whose voices simply want representation. Term limits should be imposed not only on members of Congress, but also on top-level bureaucrats, such as directors of the FBI, CIA, and the IRS, whose policy decisions affect every citizen. Add to that term limits on federal judges and Supreme Court justices, who are fallible human beings, many of whom legislate from the bench instead of interpreting the Constitution. Sure, if we pass term limits, I'll miss my favorite representatives when it's time for them to give up their office, but we cannot continue down our current road, which contorts the intent of the framers who gave us the republic we must preserve. So I urge you to pass HJ6. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Paul McElhenney.
Hello, Madam Chairwoman and this committee. Thank you for your time. My name is Paul McElhenney. I am the Convention of States District Captain for District 13. I proudly represent 336 supporters of HJ6, and that number grows daily. I support the Convention of States because I believe our current path as a nation is unsustainable, and also that the best government is local government. With that in mind, I simply want Maryland policies made in Maryland by Marylanders with Maryland money. I'm simply asking for your support of HJ6, as I believe Washington, D.C. is broken. The federal government is too large and no one seems to know what's going on. Think about every step of the COVID-19 pandemic. It's been mixed messages, confusion, or just utter failures around funding, guidance, schools, benefits, and now vaccine rollouts. A decentralized DC would have simply sent this legislature money and allowed you to disperse it as needed. However, that didn't happen, and Marylanders are still suffering. Honestly, ask yourselves, what national problems has DC actually solved? Go ahead. I'll wait. Some other great reasons to support HJ6 is that with federal term limits, there will be far more regular vacancies in Congress for new ideas from new representatives, and even possibly more rotation on the courts. Also, through limiting federal overreach and imposing fiscal restraints, Maryland money and power will grow exponentially as all of our state departments will naturally expand with only minimal federal government involvement in Maryland affairs. Please use your vote to advance Resolution HJ6 out of committee and to the House floor for debate, as we are not going anywhere and our resolve for these changes is only growing. Finally, I request that if any of you on this committee haven't read my full written testimony, to please do so. It's quite good, and these 2 minutes just didn't do it justice. Thank you again for your time and consideration of HJ6, and I would like you to note that since we have come on for this session, over 100 more people have joined the viewing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, Nicole Weekly.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead.
Fantastic. Good morning. My name is Dr. Nicole Weekly. I'm a behavior analyst, a professor, a Marine Corps spouse, and a mom of 4. My maiden name is Jaskew, which is an anglicized version of Yashkeef, and I'm part of the first full generation of my family born here in the United States as my grandparents immigrated from the Ukraine following World War II. Their childhoods played against the backdrop of the Nazi rise across Europe, where everything they held dear was wiped from existence. It's a unique perspective to learn of freedom from those who at one time didn't have it. You're taught that if you take it for granted, you run the risk of losing it. This is a lesson that has only been strengthened through witnessing my husband's experience as a United States Marine. These lessons are why I'm here today. I think that if all of us in this room were to take a step back and honestly assess the current state of affairs, we would all admit to a nagging fear that we're moving dangerously off course, that each side is honestly worried about who resides in the White House or which party controls the House and Senate. That in and of itself speaks to a dangerous level of centralized power that our founding fathers never intended. Certainly, this last year has shown citizens and states alike just how little Washington works for them, as millions of people have lost their jobs and livelihoods while the governing elite in DC and their powerful donors remained well-financed and protected. I joined this bipartisan effort to call for a convention of states because I believe it is our duty as Americans to hold fast the reins on government. History has shown us time and again that when left unchecked, governments grow, heightening the risk for tyrannical results. I believe that states' rights protect against coercive governing. I believe that fiscal health is the foundation of a free nation, and I believe that lifelong ruling at any level of government is left for kings, and we are a nation of public servants. I would love for this committee to move forward this bill for debate, where ideas can be fleshed out and our state is allowed to take a stand for our most precious ideal, preserving the last best hope of freedom in this world. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Michael Riley.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I thank the committee for the opportunity to testify in support of HJ6 United States Constitution Amendments Convention. I'm Michael Riley. I live in Durwood, Maryland, and I raised my family in Prince George's and Montgomery counties. I'm a small business owner and federal contractor. I volunteer for Convention of States Action Maryland as the District 19 captain and state communications coordinator. Thank you for taking on the responsibility and difficulties of governing and helping Maryland succeed. Today, I ask you to consider what you need to do as Maryland leaders in the coming rebalancing of federal and state responsibilities. Things that can't continue eventually stop. The federal government is bankrupt, borrowing money we don't have with no plans to repay. What is Maryland going to do? As Texas froze and California burned, we saw finger pointing and failures with both state and federal government. Solutions dreamed up for California and Texas didn't work there. Why should we let others impose them on us here? As legislators, federal impositions affect your daily work. Use our smart, dedicated, innovative Marylanders to help you craft solid local solutions. If you listen, people are saying the federal government is not meeting our needs. This can't continue. So the question for you as Maryland's leaders is how to manage the coming change. Will we carve out hope for Maryland, or will DC dictate our demise? Article 5 of the U.S. Constitution guarantees Maryland a voice. For the equity of Marylanders, I ask that you, our delegates, use the Article 5 guarantee to ensure your voice is heard loud and clear when the inevitable comes. I'm certain Texas, California, and New York will. Please secure your spot in history and support HJ6 being forwarded from the committee to be considered by the full House. Madam Chair.
Thank you very much.